this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments, and today we are going to do a two-page layout that is continuing our experiences in Radiator Springs for my Disney album. And this is going to be using a couple of papers that we have already used in a previous layout, but I'm going to show you a different way to make it look completely different. And yeah, it should be really fun, hopefully fairly quick. So let's check out my workspace. Okay, so this may or may not look familiar to you. I don't think I've used the green or the blue for it as the blue paper just yet, but I'm sure that this page looks familiar to you. This is one of the Fast to Fab papers that go along with the automobile collection, and I am going to use this duo of the same type of pages again. I think I've used them in another layout. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but at any rate, we're going to do something just a little bit different today, and I hope that it's something that you enjoy. We're going to actually use my Border Maker system, and we're going to use this Rolling Hills Border Maker cartridge. So if you have this or something that would have trees on it, that's what we're going to use. And we're going to essentially make a tree line that's going to outline the road and just kind of give this a little bit different look. Okay, so let me go ahead and I'm going to grab this paper that we've got right here, and that just has a variety of different tree shapes on it. You'll see the other side is one that I think we did use in another layout, maybe. I can't remember for sure, but the sky is making me think we did use that one for something else. So the first thing I'm going to remind everybody as we go to cut these out is that because this paper is directional, sorry, my photos just flipped over. There we go. Because you want your trees to be upright in your punched piece, you want to make sure that you just turn it 1 degree to the right so that the top of your paper is right here at the edge of your guide, and that way your punch will turn out right side up, which is important when you're punching lots of things. We are going to need 4 of these strips of trees. I've tried it just with 2, and you probably could make it work, but it's going to be a little wonky on the edges. So I think I'm just going to try it with just 4 strips, and we'll go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch each side of this. No, I'm not. Sorry, because it's directional, I can't do that. I was going to say I was going to punch the other side, but that won't work in this particular instance. So this is going to be kind of a juggling match between my custom Border Maker system and my trimmer, which is going to trim these off. And we're going to trim these. Let me see. Here's my sample. Let me check my sample. My sample is roughly 1 3/4 inches, and I think I wanted to try to make it just a little bit wider. So we're going to make these 2 inches, or actually, I'm sorry. I thought I had this all planned. Give me 1 second. Yeah, that is pretty close to 2 or 1 3/4 almost. All right. I think what I'm going to do is just cut this with the tips of my highest trees about 1/8 of an inch beyond the edge here. And if I was to measure that, that would be a 2-inch measure. So we're going to make each of these 2 inches. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll speed up the video, and I'll be back as soon as that is done. so we've got our 4 borders that we have punched, and let me just get rid of my punch confetti. Now you can see what I've done with my kind of sample here. I took it at the center right next to this tree, and I just put kind of a angular fold in it. Might be easier to see on the back side. So this is a little bit like paper dolls, but it's helpful if you kind of use your paper as your sample when you're folding, I found. And you just want to follow the angle of the road. Can you see that? So, and then we will adhere it down. This little gap on the edges right here is why I said it's easier, I think, if we use 2 pieces on each one. Let's see if we can make that happen. I really haven't tried it. So, and I also extended my the amount that I had cut down here of this paper, so it's possible that we may put this together slightly differently with that. Let's see, if I just follow the edge of the road on both counts, can I make it so that that kind of fits in the middle? So either way, you can either go ahead and just put these together like so, or you can maybe make them overlap in the middle, or you could, you know, fold a portion of it back to make it meet in the middle. I think I'm going to try, or no, I think I might try folding it in the middle and then just adding some onto the edges. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, so let's find the center again. So the center is going to be right here, right at the beginning of this kind of lighter area after this tree is my middle point. So I'm going to want to fold my paper kind of in this manner. Although, so if I want that to be in the middle, I also want this to be a little bit further . So I'm just going to hold this kind of down where I want it, and then ask my paper to kind of comply. Let's see if we can get it to, there we go. So it kind of will fold where you want it to be if you just sort of hold it where you need it to be. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put this down. The edge of my road like this. Okay, like so. Now if you're really worried, you can put a little adhesive underneath this fold right here, but the fold's going to be so tiny that I really don't think it's going to matter to you greatly to do that. I'm going to take this because it's going to match, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Okay, so I have not put my base paper down just yet, and I was waiting to do that for a reason. Let me show you why. Hold on a second here. Grab my two base papers to get these pages out of the way because they're not needed right this second. We'll stick that over there. Okay, so we've got this piece down. Now I'm going to go ahead and add just a couple of rows of adhesives because I'm not sure exactly where it's going to adhere. I'm just going to add that on. And then I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to use my paper as a guide and just trim it carefully. And if you've already put down your base page onto your page, this is a little trickier. You'd have to use an X-Acto knife or something like that, but it still can be done if you want to do that. I'm going to do the same thing, just using the other side of this strip. Just making the bases and the edges match. And of course the pattern in the paper doesn't quite match, but that's okay. I don't really need it to be exactly exact. Alright, and there we've got our tree line. Now you could make this probably even jazzier and put a different color tree in front of it, and then there would be even more trees, which, you know, depending on what you're using this for, if you're on a car trip or something like that, maybe you're going through the forests in Oregon or somewhere, North Carolina or someplace, you might want additional trees, which I would just layer it the same way and fold it in the center and then add some to the edges. You can see how it's not as noticeable unless you're really looking at the pattern in the paper. You're not going to notice that there's a little bit added onto the side. I think you'll be just fine. Okay, so we're going to do this second one. I'm going to keep my extra piece over here, and actually you probably could get away with just punching 3 of these. I just was not, I wasn't sure how I wanted it to do that, so it's done, right? Done is better than perfect sometimes. So we're going to push this here. Then we're going to line this up where we want it over here. And as we have this lined up where we want it, along the side, we're just going to ask our paper to comply here in the middle. Just kind of ease it into the fold that's going to work best for it. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with this one that we did with the last one. We're just going to line it up right here on the very edge of the road, edge of the asphalt. It kind of does its job in covering up a lot of that desert and gives you a little bit of a different feel. Yes, you can still see some of it behind here. So if you want, you could make this multi-layers and, you know, build it out more. Completely up to you how you want to do that. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of get an idea where this needs to be cut, or where this needs to be, by using the end of my using that as a guide. It's a little bit short, but not too bad. I think I'm still going to go with it. Okay, and we'll trim this side. And then let's see where this one is ending off at. We've got all of that. Maybe if I fold it crease it at those joints, I can get a better idea where that ought to meet. Let's see. That's pretty close. Pretty close. We're settling for close is good enough on this, because that's really close. Okay. All right, so we've got those. We'll toss that. We've got a little bit extra, maybe we can use on another layout. And for now, I think these are going to be good enough for what we want to do. Now let's grab our pages and take a look. Maybe we'll go ahead and add and adhere these to our black pages so they are good to go. Sorry, I just noticed something stuck under my fingernail. Had to get that off. Okay, so we're just going to carefully lay it out. I always align the lower center corner first and then the bottom, and if I get those in alignment, then it's usually an easy smoothing of the rest whenever I'm wallpapering a page. So I don't know if you have been to Disneyland lately, or Disneyland California, where these photos I'm going to be using today come from. But if you are a fan of the Cars movies, then you may recognize some of the sculptures that are going to be in these pictures. So they have an area that they call Ornament Valley, and it has many of the same types of sculptures that you see in the movie that are done. Here's another one right here in the background, that are done much larger. And of course they use the Disney magic to make them appear much larger than they actually are. But they definitely give you that feeling of not being in Anaheim, California. And then they also, like you often see at tourist places, they provided this really cool sort of map that talks about Ornament Valley and all the different things that you can see from this vantage point. So I took a picture of this. I also took a picture of this, which is where I'm standing when I took these photos. I turned to look at the walkway that goes underneath this arched bridge over here. And it says, "Mind your speed as you go. Sheriff's old, but he's not slow." And the very last sign is way down here, so it's hard to read, but it's very cool. And I thought very appropriate. So I'm going to actually weld these two pictures together so that we have a bit of the feel for this, even though the wording is slightly messed up here. The wording down here is a little bit easier to read. So we're going to just leave it like that, and I'm not going to trim it. I'm going to leave it like that because it's obvious that the photographer, who was me, did not do a great job of capturing this whole thing at the same eye level, and so it's just kind of messed up. But I had these scraps of paper from another page, and I thought maybe we could use these just to kind of jazz up this layout a little bit, even though I'm really not planning on matting all of these photos. So if we start by kind of putting this front and center, maybe we will make that hang off the page at the top just a little, and I'll trim that. And then I think I've wanted to just go ahead and put some of these at fun little angles. And this one might not actually be a totally necessary one, but it's just, I like the waterfall. It was pretty, so maybe we'll just overlap those just a little. And then over here, we can kind of add, let's see, where is this in response? This is over on this end of Ornament Valley, and then this is actually, you know, beyond, but maybe what we'll do is just kind of go like so. Actually, we could kind of overlap those because this sign is the one that's right here. Mind your speed as you go. I like this one too because you can see the car that's actually part of the Radiator Springs Racers ride. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know. I'm not sure I really like it. But if I do like this, then we've got duplication. And I don't want to lose the car. So what can we do? We can do like this. How's that? And then what we might do is go ahead and mat some of this one so that it has a little more emphasis. How about if we do that? All right, so this piece of paper is just over 3 inches. So if I go ahead and cut it in half, you can put a little on the top and a little on the bottom. And then we'll trim it so that the side is the same. All right, then we'll just trim this edge over here. So it's almost a full, and actually what we could do is we could use these pieces and put on the edges here. Whoa, that was a lot of adhesive. I should not have put that much adhesive. That's crazy. But by doing that, then we get a full mat for the price of a 3x8 piece of paper. Ta-da! Always nice when something like that works. Okay. And let's go ahead and put these down. You don't necessarily need to see all of that tree bush kind of thing. Okay, and let's, first of all, we need to get this guy put down. Okay, so then we need adhesive all the way across this guy. A couple places in the middle. And then, like I said, we're gonna put him a little bit off the top edge so that I can just come through with some scissors and trim him up. Okay. Wow, that adhesive is quite persnickety. I'm wanting to grab hold of my picture. Scooch over, would you? There. That way we can still see all the nice rocks. All right, and let's trim this bit up here. All right, so now we need some embellishing, so let's see if I can figure out what we could use as embellishment. You know what, we could use actually some of our trees that we've already punched. Because we could slide that down behind. I kind of like that. I think I'm going to go with that. So I'm just going to lift this up just a tiny bit and ease this down under. I've got an embellishment on the other side of that. That's why it's a little bit wonky. Okay, so we've got that. We can do the same thing with this side. And I'm just trimming off the bits that I've already kind of folded and messed with that maybe don't look as nice. So you can use your own judgment on yours, whether you need to worry over it or just go ahead and use it as it is. I'm on purpose making these not match because it's very obvious I've stuck some paper in there. It doesn't need to be matchy-matchy, I don't feel like. So, because I'm not trying to hide that at all. All right, what else could we do? Maybe add some cars on the road would be really cute. Let's see what else I have. So I do have these cars that I hadn't really planned on doing anything with. I wonder if we could, it wouldn't show up super well, but we could add a couple of them to this lower border just to jazz it up. Maybe trim these outer three on each side and put them right here. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to cut them off, giving a little bit of extra border. And I'm going to round that edge just the tiniest little bit because the outside edge is rounded. So I'm not looking to put a huge curve in it, but just, you know, so it's not completely squared up. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here, just 3 cars. And then I'm going to just round that, each of these corners up just a little. Okay, then we're going to get some foam squares, I think. Huh? Hello, foam squares. Are you in there? There we are. Okay. So the question for me now is which color, the brown or the kind of asphalty gray color? Which color do we like better? So if they were both brown, would that work with our scheme better, or would it be better if we flipped it? I think you notice them more if they're brown. Not that we're trying to get them a lot of attention, but you know what I mean. So I think I'm going to leave them the brown side up. And I'm going to use my smaller foam squares and pop them up so they have a little more pizzazz, a little more oomph. And the areas on these vehicles are pretty narrow, so I'm probably going to need to cut some of these in half in order to accommodate lifting them up. So we're just going to cut them. I just cut them horizontally, and I'm just adding, oop, that one came along for the ride. Let's stick him on here. So I'm just putting one on the wider spaces of each of these vehicles, just so that it kind of lifts up. And actually I think I might add more than one to the truck because the truck is higher. So we'll put them kind of on the fenders of the truck. That way it has just a little bit more support. Now, as far as journaling goes, I can write on the road on each page right here. I can write up here. I can write it right here. I want to make sure that there's places where I can talk about what we did in this area, which wasn't a lot. It was mostly just looking, but it's just cool stuff. You have to love the details that the Imagineers go through or go to create these fantastic areas, immersive areas in the park. Really is rather amazing. I don't know how many of you have actually been to Disneyland or if you prefer Disney World. Everybody has their preference, but because I grew up in Southern California and my parents lived there their whole life, Disneyland has definitely got a prominent place in our minds and hearts. I remember going there as a child back when, I think I've said this before in another video, but back when you had to have a ticket for each ride and you only got to ride on so many e-ticket rides. There were way more A-ticket rides, which were, or maybe the A-tickets weren't even for a ride. I don't remember how that all worked. But we sure did enjoy our experiences with Disney and Disneyland. All right, I think let's check and see if there's maybe some stickers we could use, because so I have some little cars, but I think they're not quite to scale, so I'm not going to use them on this particular trip, but the sightseeing sticker actually would be a cool one to use. And maybe one of these that talks about adventures on a road trip or the scenic route. Right. That one's the same, so we'll stick that over there. Are we there yet? I love that. What kid has never said, "Are we there yet?" when you're on a road trip, right? Or maybe we should add this signal light also. Signal light. We can pop this one up too. I love the process of putting these pages together and kind of figuring them out as we go and seeing them develop. The scenic route. We'll use sightseeing. This would probably be easier if I just used a couple of the big ones, but that's okay. I have a lot of these little ones, so we're going to use the little ones. Okay, so we've got that one down here. We probably should have something kind of in the middle here for sightseeing. Maybe I'll put a car up there, because we've all been on these wonderful trips, and if you haven't been on a trip like this with your family, you should take one, because the Great American Road Trip is a thing. I've seen things I never knew existed, like the face on the barroom floor. I think that was from a song, a country western song maybe, or something. But there actually is a bar in Colorado, a saloon, that has the face painted on the barroom floor that they talk about in that song. Amazingly enough. I'm just going to add a little star. I'm kind of coming to the end of my embellishments. So I don't have a whole lot of extra ones, but that's okay. Stick that over there. Sightseeing. we've got road trip playlist. I've got some sunglasses and a little car and another couple of stars. So let's maybe do could do road trip playlist. I think that would be okay. And we'll add maybe a little car to it. Road trip playlist. There's the car. Pick up a little bit more red and by using this little star also. Stick that up there. Okay, now we'll add our foam squares to the back. Sometimes I like to add the foam squares at the beginning, and add my stickers a little at a time. Sometimes it's easier to build a cluster in my hand. That way I can adjust things as I need to move them around. It's harder to adjust them once, if you've used foam squares, you know. It's harder to adjust them once they have touched the paper, because the foam adhesive will not want to come back up once it's down on your paper. All right. So this is our final cluster for this particular layout. We are almost done. We've got a couple more layouts to go and we'll be done with this area of Disneyland. And then the question is, where should this go? Maybe right here, tucked behind these cars. But then I cover up my sweet hubby. Don't want to cover up my sweet hubby. Alright, so I'm just going to accept the fact that we're not going to journal on this page, and I'm going to just sort of add this in right here in the middle because it's a good spot. And I'm not going to journal around it. We'll journal over here. Alright, so there we have it. There are our Ornament Valley photos from Radiator Springs. And next time we're going to be back with our last couple. I think the next two videos are going to be single page layouts, focusing on a couple of other areas in Radiator Springs. And then we will be done and moved on to another area of Disney California. So hang in there with me. I know this has been a lot of Cars, what used to be called Cars Land, but it's a fun place. I mean, come on, it's fun. So I hope that you've enjoyed this, and I hope it's useful and has inspired you to create a different type of layout using the Fast to Fab pages. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, I hope you have many more creative moments. Have a great day now.